And it's World Humanitarian Day today. It's a day dedicated to humanitarians worldwide now, as well as to increase public understanding of humanitarian assistance activities. The day aims to honor humanitarian workers who have lost their lives or injured themselves in the course of their work, and to acknowledge the ongoing work of humanitarian staff around the world. And there's one gentleman who we know has been at the forefront a lot of refugee issues here in our country. Tete Paddy's programs coordinator with the Ghana Refugee Board. Also joining us via Skype from the UK's Daniel Kwame Amoateng, who's the 2015 recipient Humanitarian Guba Award. So Kwame, thank you for joining us. If you can hear me, can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So recently you've been to Sierra Leone. Tell us what you went to do there.
Basically, I went to Sierra Leone to help the orphans of the Ebola outbreak, and it was an exciting trip and at the same time a bit hectic. But I was really happy to do that because as an African, I was able to help my own. Because most of the times, whenever there's an outbreak, we wait for the international community to go out there to help. But this day and age, we want to promote Africans helping our own. So basically, that was the whole trip about. Okay,
so stay with us. I've got Mr. Paddy in here who also joined in the conversation. But if you've got anything to say along the line, you can just come in gently.
Okay.
All right. Stick with us there. Mr. Paddy, do we still? I know we have camps. We still have refugees in our country.
Yes, we do. Indeed, we have about 20,000 refugees still here with us in Ghana. And we have 4 camps currently. 3 of them are solely for Ivorian refugees. And there's 1 camp in the Western region which is a mixed population. So yes, we have refugees currently with us.
What exactly do you do? I mean,
well, the function of the Refugee Board is to coordinate all the activities relating to refugees. We work, of course, closely in hand with UNHCR. Who provide most of the assistance that goes to refugees. Currently, UNHCR and WFP are providing food assistance, which is very critical to Ivorian refugees. Unfortunately, that is coming to an end. They're stopping at the end of September. And
September this year?
September this year, September 2015. And as you can imagine, that is of concern to us, because if you have 8,000–9,000 odd refugees living in camps who do not have food, that can have consequences on the host communities. So we are working.
Is it difficult getting food?
It is. As you know, there's so many humanitarian situations around the world at this time, with all the conflicts that's ongoing, and so what donors give, and you know, most of this assistance comes from donors. It's limited, and unfortunately, the priorities seem to be somewhere else. And so the assistance that is coming to us here is dwindling.
Amazing. Let me ask Daniel the same question. Daniel, is it difficult to get food?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, because when you go to the remote places, you see that many people are struggling. And the same thing that my brother said over there is that the different world organizations have their different priorities. So if we, the Africans, we can try as much as possible to help our own, I think that would be very good, because it's very difficult for some of them to even have a food to eat a day. Very, very difficult. When you travel across the different villages, it's very difficult.
So tell us about how you were able to mobilize the things that you got to take to Sierra Leone.
Yeah, I went there based on my organization, that's Daniel Martin Foundation, and I also partnered with some of the government workers in Sierra Leone. So when I got there, my staff were already shipped from the United Kingdom, and they were able to link me to the different communities and the different towns, and we were able to help and supply the orphans of the Ebola.
So, Mr. Paddy, what can we do? I mean, what can individuals do? This is World Humanitarian Day. We sure can do something.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel mentions Africans helping Africans. I think it's about time that we also look within to see what we can also do to support persons who require assistance. And it's not just refugees. I'm refugee biased, but it's not just refugees. As you know, we have a lot of people living amongst us who don't know where their next meal is coming from, who lack shelter, who lack all kinds of who have all kinds of needs that are not met. And it's important that we look within our community. I believe that there's enough to go around if we try.
Yeah. Some people perhaps may not understand. So we allow them into our country, we give them shelter. Can they work?
Yes, refugees are allowed to work, but they have to go through the necessary steps that everybody else goes through, in the sense that they have to acquire work permits. The Ghana Immigration Service needs to issue them with a work permit. And the requirements are there. You need to find a job first. And we do have refugees who are working. We assist them with acquiring the work permits when they need it.
How challenging is your job?
Well, it is challenging in the sense that you see people who have needs that you cannot meet. A lot of humanitarian workers dip into their own pockets to assist people. It happens all the time. But there's a limit. I mean, the need is so much that you can't do it yourself. So it's a bit frustrating watching people knowing that they have the needs that cannot be met. That's difficult.
Yeah. Daniel, are we just selfish individuals? Because sometimes we have enough to take around, but we just don't like to give.
That's true. We are very selfish, especially Africans, because Martin Luther King Jr. said something. He said the ultimate tragedy does not lie in the wickedness of the bad people, but the silence of it by our friends. In other words, when we try as much as possible to forget about our own and we are waiting for the international community to come and help, always there will be a big delay. When you check the Ebola outbreak, you see that when it happened, British Army came down to Sierra Leone and American Army went down to Liberia. Why? Because America colonized Liberia and British also colonized Sierra Leone. But I was asking myself, what was Ghana Army doing? What was the Army of Togo doing? What was the Army of Ivory Coast doing? So we try as much as possible to wait and put the toe on the international community. And most of the times when the international community, they come down, it's very difficult for their help to reach the grassroots of the nation, because they have to go through different processes and bureaucracies. And by the time it gets to the grassroots, some people have already taken what they want to take. But as an African, when you go there, you know exactly where you are going and you know the right person to touch. So we are really selfish and we can help each other. And I always tell people that you don't need to be a millionaire to be a philanthropist. You can start from 1, you can start from 2, you can start from 3. You can continue until we make the world a better place.
Got an interesting question coming your way, but you can think about it and then give me the response later. Do other people trust you enough to want to give you a piece of their money so that you can carry on your cause? But think about it. Mr. Paddy, you were telling me about the challenges even as a humanitarian worker. Is it something that you always wanted to do, or you were looking for a piece of work and this came along?
It's something that I have wanted to do. Yeah, I generally have worked in the humanitarian environment throughout my working life, more or less. So I didn't just find myself in here.
When we're seeing the Liberians off, some of them voluntarily wanted to leave.
That's correct.
But we had a lot of things coming out of the mouth of some of them as well, unfortunately. Do they appreciate what we do as a people and as a country, would you say?
I think they generally appreciate what we do. And it's the minority, the few of them who are so vocal and seem to be speaking for all the others.
Because we had Ghana now, we are even a suffering country and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it stems from their wish to travel to America or to Europe. And when that is not coming, out of frustration, they say some of these things. But we interact with them on a personal level, and we do know that they appreciate the assistance that they've received from Ghana. Would
you say that as citizens, we tend to forget about some of these people who are living with us?
Yes, we do. In fact, I get questions like, do we still have, like you asked me, do we still have refugees here? People forget. And unfortunately, we don't get a chance to highlight this as much as we should. But a lot of people do not even know that we have refugees still with us, and that's a concern, because we require assistance for them, and if people don't know, there's no way they would come out to help. So yeah,
I'll come back to the issue of sometimes we talk about other people's plights, but when you look at our communities as Ghanaians, we have poor people. What are we doing about them? I'll come back to you with a response. But Daniel, I was asking, do people trust you enough to want to give their monies to you to carry on their cause?
Yeah, the issue of trust is very important over here. But I don't normally wait for people to donate before I help myself. I'm an investor, so I help from the little resources that I have, because when you say you are waiting for somebody to give you money before you can go and help, it will be very, very difficult. That's why I said for you to be a philanthropist, you don't need to just be a millionaire, and just help with your little. And I'm happy with the question that you just asked my brother, that can we also help our own us in Ghana? Because if a Ghanaian will just leave their place and go to a village somewhere and help, that would be very, very, very good. Because recently there was an issue with a chalk case in Ghana. I heard it from the news, and when many people became upset, I saw that many people were donating boxes of chalk to that particular school. So that's what Ghanaians we are supposed to do. Sometimes we are not supposed to even wait for anybody to go and help. We ourselves, we can make the world a better place.
Is there something that you wanted to say out of what he has said? But I think it links up to the places. I mean, you can find places if you go around. I'm sure there's a corner in Kokomlemle, for instance, where there are people who need help. Why don't you advocate for support for them, but you're looking at refugees? Yeah,
you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't need to travel outside Accra before you find people who have such needs. But a lot of people do good work. A lot of people do humanitarian work without making noise about it. And I can assure you, people go into some of these communities and help, and it's worth commending these people. So yeah, the selfishness that he mentions is there, but there's also a lot of kindness going around here.
Daniel, why do you do what you do? I mean, you're living in the UK. I tell you what, people travel to make a lot of money and put up mansions in Ghana and come and live comfortably after. Why do you want to give what you have to others?
Because I find great fulfillment in it, and I got to know that we the Africans, we don't get time to bless our own people. So I wanted to start something like that. And recently, we've seen some different Africans who are starting their own foundations. Some rich people like Strive Masiwe of Zimbabwe and Tony Elumelu of Nigeria, the owner of the UBA Bank. All of them, they've set a lot of money aside to just make sure that they help Africans. And when I saw those things, I became really excited, and I want to follow that food path. Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Paddy, so the greatest need today, you say, is food? The
greatest need is food, particularly for Ivorian refugees, who are the largest refugee population that we have with us. And the reason why it's important, apart from the fact that they may go hungry, it has implications. It has security implications for us as well, because you don't want to have 8,000 odd people sitting somewhere without food to eat. They'll do whatever it takes to find food to eat, and it's important that we do whatever we can as a nation, as a government, to address that gap.
Their country is relatively peaceful, so why wouldn't they go back?
When you speak to Ivorian refugees in particular, those in Ghana, you realize that there are those who are political activists. You'd wonder, 8,000 political activists. Yes, most of them were activists in the local communities, and they still claim that within those local areas, they're still targeted because of their support for the former president. And so it's mainly for political reasons that they are not going back. And they claim that there's still not that level of security that they require to return to Cote d'Ivoire.
So Daniel, maybe in wrapping up with you, what's your dream, really, Would you come back to Ghana sometime?
Yeah, my dream is to build different schools and different orphanages for different places in Africa, and that's what we are trying as much as possible to do, and we are on the process of doing that. So very soon you will see most of these places in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Sudan, and different places in Africa.
I'm sure you've heard what some people say, that sometimes you just use these things as an excuse to make money.
Yeah, that's what most of these people say. But my particular foundation, I don't wait for anybody's money. Myself, I'm a civil engineer, and also I've also created an app. One smartphone app is called the Explore Ghana app. So I use most of my investment to help myself. For now, everything that I'm doing, I don't sort from any form of funds. It comes from my own personal coffers. So they can say whatever they want to say. But we the new Africans, we are going to set a new record.
Yeah. Are there many people such as yourself who are on this course?
Oh, yeah. I've met a lot of them. Sometimes when I travel, I meet so many great guys who are doing stuff by their own self. They're not waiting for any particular donation from anyone, and they want to just give out to the nations and the communities.
I tell you what, Daniel, it is people such as yourself that we celebrate today. Thank you so much for all that you do. We wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll give you a piece of my money. I mean, I don't have a lot, but.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye. So Daniel is actually the 2015 recipient of the Humanitarian Guba Awards. It's a non-profit business and innovation awards instituted to celebrate, acknowledge, and support Ghanaian-based businesses and individuals in the UK. Here in Ghana, I mean, we're based here. Tata Paddy's programs coordinator with the Ghana Refugee Board. So, would you continue to work in this kind of area?
Absolutely. I enjoy working in this kind of area. It's gratifying when you are able to achieve results, and we do manage to get people, put a smile on people's faces. So, yeah.
Do you think that we recognize you? I mean, even as humanitarian workers in Ghana, do we recognize you?
With the refugee board particularly, I would say not to the extent that we probably the recognition that we should get, we are not getting as much. And I think it's probably, again, because of the priorities that we have as a nation. I mean, if you have, like you said, you have people, Ghanaians here who are starving, who are not getting what's the basics that they require. And so people would want to attend to those first before they look at people from outside Ghana who are in here. So I guess it's because of prioritization. What we make the priorities, that is relegating refugees to the background.
But what would be your dream? I mean, what would be the ideal situation?
The ideal situation would be for all these conflicts to stop, so that you stop having refugees all over the place. That's a tall order. So in the meantime, we do what we can to alleviate the situation. We do what we can to help persons who find themselves displaced because of all this fighting and conflicts.
I'm worried about some people going hungry after September when there are no more funds or food. So what can we do? I'm
also very worried about it. And the Refugee Board has approached a few organizations and individuals. Unfortunately, most of the responses that we get point to the UNHCR, that they contribute to UNHCR, and so they've done their bit, basically. And that can be a bit discouraging, but we're not giving up, and we're still working with the donors to see if it's possible for something to be done. Yeah.
Can you put cost to it? Because, you know, we talk about our prisoners, for instance, and we know how much we're feeding them, even though the money is very small, 180p or something like that.
Yes.
How much would it cost to feed one refugee?
To feed one refugee? Not much. I mean, I can't put figures to it immediately, but whatever it costs to feed prisoners, whatever it costs to feed Ghanaians, I don't think it will be much different from what we need to feed refugees.
Do you go to bed thinking about all the difficulties that these people go through?
We are confronted with it daily, so you can't even forget about it. On a daily basis, we are dealing with some of these problems. And so it's what we are preoccupied with, really.
Are we taking good care of people like you?
Reasonably, yeah.
So you are not complaining?
Reasonably, but it could be much, much better.
Yeah.
It could be much, much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, we appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
And we just wanted to talk to you on this day.
Thank you.
So thank you for all that you do, you and your colleagues.
And I'll be coming for your money as well.
No problem. Okay. So that's it for our conversation on World Humanitarian Day. I hope that this will trigger something in you to want to give. But how can people help if people are watching right now and they want to support?
They can contact the Ghana Refugee Board. They can contact UNHCR.
Okay. We're talking Chaliwati 2015. I mean, is it just Chaliwati like the slippers? But I'd like to say thank you to you, Tata Padi, Programs Coordinator, Ghana Refugee Board, and Daniel Kwame Amoate, who joined us via Skype in the UK. Stay with us as we talk Chaliwati.